No. Hello, my name is Ellie. I'm in 12th grade.
I'm Sky Vasquez. I'm Emma.
What is body positivity to you?
I think body positivity has something to do with body acceptance, and I think the difference between body positivity and self-love, they're both connected, but I also think that, like, positivity comes from the process of self-love. I think body acceptance is just, like, not having, like, this is so hard to explain. Oh my god. I didn't think about this. I think when you think about acceptance of your body, that's different than self-love, because people who have strongly hated their bodies or have had negative thoughts towards their bodies, it's kind of intimidating when they think about self-love, because they think of it as a goal and not a process. And I think that can be scary to think about how they'll never get there, never get to that point, and so when they think of self-love, they get, like, discouraged because they don't think they're going to do it. I think with body positivity is just accepting your body in the sense of, like, this is what I have to deal with. I don't love it, but it's what I have, and I don't mind it. And I think that's a better thing to strive for at first, and then lead up to self-love.
Yeah, I think you should, it's really easy to say that you should just be happy with, like, who you are and what you have, but it's a lot harder to actually really be that way. And a lot of it, everyone always screams about the media, which is really the biggest culprit in people not feeling happy with their body. And I don't know, there's a lot of stigma surrounding women's bodies in general. Men also, they obviously have the same issues, just not to the extent that women do, I think. And so many different things, like I really appreciate the Free the Nipple movement. Not that I think that women should just be going around, like, shirtless and stuff, because that's obviously going to get dress coded at school, you know.
Yeah, I know.
And I think, but I really respect it because it's accepting who you are. I really respect that, and I think it's just really about accepting what you have and what you've been given, and not making it a shameful thing, because I feel like a lot of the time, even just, like, something so simple as, like, breasts. Every woman has them, every girl has them, and it's not something that should be stigmatized and people should be obsessed about. It's a natural part of being a person, and I think everyone should just realize that and accept that.
Yeah, and I thought about this, like, if women in general were, like, born without nipples and then someone had nipples, then I guess it could be appropriate to be like, why do you have nipples? Like, if it's a thing we just aren't supposed to have, but, like,
sure.
Everyone has nipples. It doesn't matter at all.
I think that people sexualize things way too often. Like, I get there's many people who just, like, have a dirty mind and will see something and make a joke, and, like, I definitely get that. That's
like
definitely me too. Like, I'll definitely do that. But everyone will just throw in, like, haha, sex, except it really just kind of makes me angry when people will sexualize things when it's not necessary. Like, oh, she's wearing that because she's trying to impress people, or she's trying to show off. Like, people who have that mindset, I just don't really understand. Like, when I look at someone wearing something, some would consider showy, I think, like, that's great that she's confident and can be showing herself like that, because I know that I definitely don't feel like that all the time, which definitely ties into the whole idea of body positivity and self-love. I think they are connected, as you said before, but definitely also different, because I think that self-love is more not only accepting who you are, but other people, and being able to, like, look at the pictures people post and be like, dang, you're hot, like, yeah, get it, work. But then, body positivity is also just being able to wake up and being like, I'm okay with who I am. And obviously everybody has few things they want to change about themselves. Like, no one can deny that. Nobody thinks that they're perfect, except I think that it definitely is a journey of, like, many years. You can't just, take a week and be like, okay, I love myself now. Like, I've definitely, it's taken me 2 or 3 years to finally just realize, you know, who I am, what I'm interested in.
Like it's a process.
Exactly.
It's not like an end goal.
And it's
continuous.
yeah, and there is no end goal because, you know, my favorite color changes every week. Like my style changes every week. You know, there's not really an end goal. But if you are saying there's a goal, I was just saying that, like, accepting that, you know, no matter what happens, you are going to change. And I think that change is definitely a good thing when you're finding yourself.
I think another thing with body positivity, mostly over self-love, is that it's like, some people I always see rule out is it's not just the physical body, it's also like scars, birthmarks, stretch marks, acne. It's a big one that I never see. Like eczema or like some type of skin thing. Vitiligo is one where it's the pigment of your skin has changed throughout your body. It's like all of these different factors that are seen as ugly is something that needs to play into body positivity, because they're, I don't understand why they're ugly. Like they always they make it interesting. Like freckles are one that I don't understand.
I
why
love
people,
freckles. I wish I had.
I just think it's really pretty, and also it's a nice thing to just play into body positivity because that's the entire body.
Yeah.
So just to keep in mind that everything on your body
I hate that
matters.
stretch marks are seen as ugly. I think they're kind of like battle scars, you know, to show where you've been, like where you're going, like how your body is changing. I think, as I was saying before, that like change is beautiful, and stretch marks just kind of show, you know, that you've been through it. Like I definitely don't love my stretch marks, but I think they're kind of cool in a sense to show like how you've changed, like physically. What's the next question?
How does it make you feel when you see your body type unrepresented in advertisement?
Victoria's Secret.
I think relatively, we're all pretty thin. I think we can say that. So I don't really feel comfortable talking about like bigger sizes that are not represented. But speaking as like for me, disability wise, I don't see like. Example I thought of earlier today before coming here. There's this new show on like ABC where it's the main character is in a wheelchair and doesn't talk, but they don't center it around that. It kind of does because he got a new therapist to like help her around the school. So it kind of is centered around him, but not in the way that you would expect. And I think it's really cool to see without making it like a big deal or just like a burden to the family. It's just interesting to see how that plays out. And so I think in the modeling industry, it's very like not disheartening really, but it's just really disappointing because it's like there's more to us than like being like, I don't know, without like saying words that would offend anyone, but just like, because I personally have my words that I don't like, but I don't know for other people, but it'd be nice to see other people that aren't shown in that light of beauty.
I think especially in magazines and even commercials, but I think especially magazines, like you've got sports magazines, yoga magazines, like anything like that. There's a difference between being healthy and being thin.
Oh yeah.
I think generally most of the population is more healthy when they are thinner, but there are tons of people whose their body type is just a thicker person, and it doesn't mean that they're overweight, doesn't mean that they're unhealthy, but it's not representing a significant portion of the population, and it's making people feel that their body type is not the one that is desirable, and it's not the one that can be presented to the whole public.
I think that models are not supposed to be people that you're jealous of. They're supposed to be people that you look up to. I think people don't really think about it that way, really ever, because like no one's gonna look through a magazine and be like, she's such a great person. They're gonna be like, I wish I looked like that. And I think that makes me sad, especially for younger girls, you know, who definitely have not found themselves in who they are yet, to like have to look at something and be like, I wish I looked like that. Like you should never, like, you know, it's important to have goals, but models, like, I mean, the word model, you know, it's supposed to be something that you are striving to be, but it's something that you kind of reflect off of. And I think that when magazines put these like, you know, stick women in there that just aren't realistic, like even if that is what they look like, then that's amazing, but like the Photoshop is crazy, and like to make that unrealistic, type for people to look at and be jealous of, like, is so incredibly unrealistic, and it, like, makes me sad that people are striving to look like that when it is physically impossible because it's so altered.
I saw this TED Talk about a supermodel. I can't remember her name, but she's a very famous supermodel. And she was actually talking about how she knows other models, of course, and she said they're some of the most insecure women she's ever met. Because every day they're constantly just being focused on their body and what they look like. And she said she's had little girls, like 8, 9 years old, come up to her and say, how do I be a model? Like, I want to be a model. It's what I want to be when I grow up. And she said, why? Like, why don't you want to be the CEO of Apple? Or why don't you want to do this or do that? And she said if that's really what the girl wants to do, or that's who she wants to be, then she says, okay, just be my boss. If that's what you want to do, be my boss, because you shouldn't be wanting to, make a career and based off of how you look, there's so much more to what you have, like, in your potential. So I thought that was very interesting. And that she came out and said it,
So body positivity and self-love are intertwined, and they're both very important overall. And they're especially important to women, but also to men. Why is it such an important thing to work on for both women and men?
I think men are very underrepresented in general for a lot of different things because they aren't as oppressed, I feel, as women are, and so people tend to look over them as if it's not an issue, which it still is, of course. There are tons of different body types for men. I mean, there are strong, muscular men, bodybuilders, and then there are lankier people who are as adorable. I mean, it's just,
and then there's, like,
different
chubby
people,
and then there's, like, seen as overweight, but just, like, heavier boys, and they're all, like, lovely, and they're all, like, every, if you guys want, I'm gonna collect my thoughts, you can go on, but.
Like as I was saying before, like, the role model versus being jealous of someone, like, men are super underrepresented in that, because men definitely will look through things and see ads and be like, why don't I look like that? And, like, I feel like, eating disorders and excessive working out is, like, a huge factor with men. Like, I have a friend that I'm very close to, whose body, like, I would say is, like, almost near perfect, and there have been multiple times where I'm like, oh, like, I can't eat that, like, I don't, and I'm just like, that's crazy, like, I've never, you don't really, that's really rare, I feel like, but I feel like that's definitely a struggle, and a lot of men, they just don't really express it because they think it's gonna, like, devalue them, which I think is kind of sad, because they definitely, like, men definitely have a lot of, like, self-love problems, and I feel like nobody really realizes that.
Yeah. One of the biggest issues, I think, too, is that women have been facing gender inequality for a very long time. So I think most women in general have come to unite and talk about it and are more comfortable talking about themselves and the issues. And men have never really had that opportunity. And so instead of it being sort of like women talking, it's sad, but it's kind of like a women against men thing in many situations. But with men feeling unconfident, or insecure, it's more like a men against men thing, because it's other men who are judging those people who are skinnier and not as muscular, instead of women who are judging them.
Oh, I don't really have any more questions.
That's fine.
Do you guys want to briefly or quickly share your journey to body positivity? If you're comfortable, only if you're comfortable.
I mean, I feel like I've been lucky to have always been fairly comfortable with myself, but seeing other people's bodies and being very confident in their bodies, it kind of makes me sometimes, I feel like everyone gets this way, you kind of wish you had their body because they seem so comfortable with it.
Then they also have crazy
but they also have issues, and I feel like every year there's a new trend or a new fad. Last year, it was big boobs, and this year it's big butt, and so it's hard to be very confident with yourself when everyone is constantly changing the idea of what they think is attractive. So it's just been, I mean, you have to learn to accept what you have, and it just really comes down to that.
And I think with people who really struggled for some type of acceptance of themselves throughout however long they've done it, whether it be years, a couple of years, or just like focusing on the recently, I think acceptance is just a bigger thing to focus on before self-love, because self-love is very hard. It's a process, as I keep saying, and it's hard to even think about getting there, and so it's very intimidating. So I think acceptance is just kind of in a philosophical way. It's just like, I am here, and this is what I have to deal with, and I think that's like a really nice thing to strive for.
My like personal experience with self-love, I was pretty caught up with this boy, and I found myself so incredibly anxious all the time. Not because I was like nervous around him, we were really close, but I just like found myself, you know, not ready to like love someone else because I didn't love myself. Like this was a time where I had so many insecurities. There was a lot of like family stuff happening, and I had to like just end things and have to, you know, I went through this like phase. It was like a good 6 months where I was just like, I'm only gonna focus on myself, and that is really the root of like why I am so confident today. And like obviously there's still things I'm gonna change about myself, but like because of that like kind of hiatus I took to like, you know, just focus on myself, I think that that's why I think everybody kind of needs that. Like they need to, you know, have a long period of time set aside where they can just, you know, find out what you like what you're into, just everything.
Yeah.
With me, with the disability, I have hated myself or my body for years. I didn't even realize that that was a bad thing. And that kind of, can I swear on this? It fucked me up, like, when I grew up. Because I didn't realize how much of a bad thing and how much that would change me.
We should do it in the outro.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything else that you guys just want to quickly
Thank you,
say?
Juliet, for doing this.
Yes,
It's a beautiful
thank you,
project.
Juliet.
I'm so happy to be a person.
Amazing.
Yay! Girl gang!
Woo!